Welcome to Manila Updates TV. Please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for more updates. Chinese satellite company again exposes U.S. military buildup in Middle East, third time in weeks. That headline exploded onto global news feeds early Monday. The revelation arrived with sharp and undeniable clarity. High-resolution satellite photographs. The world saw what, just a decade ago, would have stayed hidden behind rows of barbed wire and layers of secrecy. The images, published by China's Mazar Vision, left little to the imagination. Parked aircraft, newly deployed armored vehicles, and fresh construction at key U.S. bases flashed across social media and news sites. This was the third time in mere weeks that Mazar had peeled back the curtain on America's military hand in the region. Each reveal added new detail and new tension. Middle Eastern capitals buzzed with speculation. On the streets of Tehran, Doha, and Amman, citizens and analysts alike scrolled through the images, hungry for clues. The age of military secrets, it seemed, had been shaken anew. Policymakers, journalists, and ordinary people now had a front-row seat to one of the tensest standoffs on the planet. All it took was a click, a scroll, and a pair of eyes in the sky. Mazar Vision, a rising Chinese satellite firm, released their latest batch of images on Sunday morning. These weren't blurry, outdated shots. They were crystal clear, taken within the past 48 hours. Every detail, from tire tracks on runways to the shadows cast by missile batteries, was visible to anyone with an internet connection. The first set showed Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, with a surge in U.S. Air Force tankers and bombers. Images of Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia revealed clusters of Patriot missile launchers and rows of new armored vehicles. Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan showed freshly arrived F-16s and support helicopters. What made these images remarkable wasn't only their clarity, but their immediacy. In the past, such intelligence would have been locked in secret government vaults. Now, commercial satellites like Mazar's orbit overhead, gathering and releasing data in near real time. With every new release, Mazar Vision is making military activity in the Middle East unusually transparent, not just to rival states, but to the global public. The satellite images offered a rare inventory of U.S. military hardware. At Al Udeid in Qatar, observers counted at least 8 B-52 bombers, 12 KC-135 refueling tankers, and dozens of transport aircraft. Rows of support vehicles, fuel trucks, radar units, and mobile command centers lined the tarmac. Temporary hangars hinted at a rapidly expanding presence. At Saudi Arabia's Prince Sultan Air Base, 6 Patriot missile batteries stood in strategic formation, surrounded by supply convoys and radar dishes. Rows of MRAP armored vehicles suggested ground force reinforcements. The satellite also caught glimpses of C-17 cargo planes offloading crates, possibly ammunition or advanced gear. At Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan, 10 F-16 fighters, a pair of Apache helicopters, and new communication towers were visible. Freshly paved areas and new shelters pointed to ongoing preparations, possibly for a longer-term commitment. For analysts, these visuals confirmed the U.S. is reinforcing assets across 3 strategic points, each critical for rapid deployment and potential strike operations. Never before has the world seen such openness around active military deployments. In the past, governments relied on secrecy to protect their operational plans. Today, commercial satellites like those operated by Mazar Vision have flipped that script. What used to be the domain of intelligence insiders is now a matter of public record. This transparency brings both opportunities and risks. Hostile actors now have access to the same imagery as generals and policymakers. The global public can hold leaders accountable, questioning the buildup before it turns into conflict. For military planners, these open sources force a new kind of discipline. Every move is visible, every asset counted. Some argue that this visibility could make surprise attacks nearly impossible. Others worry it could simply shift the window for escalation. In the Middle East, where suspicion runs deep, transparency may deter sudden strikes, but it can also amplify paranoia. Recent U.S. deployments send a clear message of readiness. Heavy bombers, tankers, and missile defenses cluster at key bases, projecting power quickly. These deployments form a visible arc of deterrence across the region. The message is unmistakable. The U.S. is ready and watching. The U.S. Department of Defense issued a cautious statement after the images went viral. Spokesperson Laura Whitman said, "The United States maintains a flexible defensive posture in support of regional stability and our allies. We do not comment on the specifics of ongoing operations." Behind the scenes, military officials expressed frustration. Some worried that such transparency could compromise force protection and operational security. In Iran, the reaction was swift and pointed. Senior Revolutionary Guard Commander General Esmail Ghani declared, "America's deployments are clear to all. Let them know we are watching and ready to respond with force if threatened." Iranian state media seized on the photos as proof of U.S. aggression, calling on regional partners to resist foreign intervention. Analysts noted that both sides are now engaging in a kind of public signaling war. For the U.S., the presence is meant to deter attacks and reassure allies. For Iran, publicizing the buildup serves to rally domestic support and issue veiled threats. The fact that these images come from a Chinese company adds another layer of complexity. Both Washington and Tehran now face questions. Will this new visibility cool tempers or inflame them? For now, each side is sticking to its narrative: defense for one, defiance for the other. The release of satellite imagery has changed not just military calculations, but also how the public sees these events. In the past, ordinary citizens relied on official statements or rare journalistic scoops to understand what was happening on distant bases. Now, anyone can analyze military movements in near real time, often with expert commentary just a click away. This new visibility empowers activists and watchdog groups. They can highlight potential escalations, pressure governments to explain their actions, and even spot violations of international agreements. For regional populations, the images bring distant conflicts into sharp focus, fueling debate, anxiety, or at times, relief. Diplomats, too, must adapt. Transparency means that negotiations play out under a global spotlight. Peace talks, threats, and alliances are all influenced by what the world can see with its own eyes. China's involvement in this episode is multifaceted. As the provider of the revealing imagery, Mazar Vision is both a technological powerhouse and a political actor. The company's satellite launches in recent years have given Beijing a unique vantage point over global military hotspots, including the Middle East. Their decision to release these images publicly is no accident. It is a deliberate signal. On the diplomatic front, China has positioned itself as both observer and mediator. Officials in Beijing have called for restraint and dialogue in response to rising U.S. deployments. At the same time, exposing American movements puts pressure on Washington, even as it wins favor with regional partners wary of unchecked U.S. influence. By providing imagery, Beijing can shape public perception and influence diplomatic bargaining. Through its growing diplomatic outreach and investments across the Gulf, China is emerging as a central player in the region's future. In the age of satellite transparency, China is both the messenger and, increasingly, the mediator. The widespread availability of high-quality satellite imagery is transforming the world of intelligence. Open-source intelligence, or OSINT, once meant piecing together scraps from news reports and declassified files. Now, it means analyzing daily updates from commercial satellites and sharing them with millions in real time. For governments, this means the end of monopoly over key information. Rivals, allies, journalists, and even hobbyists can track deployments, spot new bases, and predict potential flashpoints. Surprise attacks become harder, misinformation campaigns face stiffer challenges, and covert operations find it tougher to remain hidden. At the same time, the flood of information can breed confusion. Misinterpretation of satellite images or deliberate manipulation could spark crises or fuel conspiracy theories. How the world adapts to this new transparency may shape the next era of security and diplomacy. The latest revelations from Mazar Vision have shown just how much the world has changed. No longer can military buildups happen in the shadows. With eyes in the sky, every move is scrutinized, debated, and broadcast to a global audience. This new era of visibility brings risks, but also opportunities. For the Middle East, the stakes are enormous. Transparency may deter rash actions. After all, it's harder to start a war when everyone is watching, but it can also inflame tempers and force leaders into public posturing. Open-source intelligence offers hope for accountability and restraint, but also carries the risk of escalation if misread. The world's challenge is to harness this transparency for peace, not conflict. The question for tomorrow is clear: will more eyes lead to more stability, or more strife? The world is watching, now more than ever.